So I then hang up from Javon because obviously there's nothing he can say to tell me anything. So then Jalen, I call him. Jalen did not answer the phone. Christine again is on the phone. Jalen did not answer the phone. LeBaron, I called, he didn't answer the phone. I called LeBaron, which is their other friend, LeBaron Broomfield. He answered. He said, Jalen is in the gas station. Hold on. So he said, hey, Jalen, Mom on the phone. So I was like, Jalen, like, what's up, Mom? What's going on? I was like, hey, have y'all heard from Nolan? They said, no, we have not heard from Nolan.
But where was the phone?
So I was like, well, okay. So that's when we started checking the phone. Well, for Christine, it said one place, but for them on Snapchat, it showed another place. So that's the place we went to. And it showed that everybody that was in the house, it was like a lot of people there. Like it was, I'm not familiar with all the kids. I only know like one there, but it showed that the phone was at what a lot of people were at. So that's how we knew where to go to. We went there. They were all there. They were sitting there, lights off, watching TV.
Did they immediately give you the phone? Because knowing that phone was there.
It took about 15. They did. They gave me the phone, but it took about 15 minutes to get the phone. Because I even asked, I'm like, did y'all have to walk back to Horn Island to get the phone? Or like, where's the phone? Because it took so long when they said it was in, when Wyatt told me it was in his truck, it took him so long to get the phone back to me.
Christine,
so when they brought the phone back.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Tashema. I want to hear that.
When they brought the phone, after I said something about it, he was like, well, she's going to get it. I was like, who's going to get it? He's like, the girl's going to get the phone.
I want to talk about your community, but first I want your...
So that's where the interview cut off. And from there, I had to read you all the transcript of what she said next. Okay. And she basically just talked about how they, just were sitting there watching TV or whatever and acting like I guess they act like they didn't really want to give her the phone. Because why did it take you 15 minutes? I think they were deleting stuff then. Because first of all, they weren't expecting someone to show up to come get the phone. Okay, so I think that's when they started trying to delete stuff or whatever, and that's probably what took so long. I think they did it in a rush. Rupert, thank you, beloved, for your contribution, says bingo. Okay, and also, Rupert, thank you for your help with this, because that was a lot of insight you gave telling me about the scramblers, because I didn't know anything about GPS scramblers, okay, or the spoofers. I didn't know anything about that. All right, Nunavin says, just look up 46 U.S. Code 2302. Either way, someone was supposed to be arrested and charged. He was never supposed to be left on that island. Well, yeah, that's what we know, and that's why we're mad. Absolutely, they could have been arrested for a myriad of things: tamper with evidence, obstruction of justice. When they had the phone, now the DA is talking about Nolan's family needs to give them the phone. Well, how come they didn't give it to the police? They had already talked to the police, had they not? They talked to him soon after. So I just have several questions. Like, there are so many reasons. Okay, then there's pictures of someone handing them beer when they're at the island, when they're on those boats. Who was that adult woman handing them beer? Somebody absolutely should have been arrested by now. They just have too much evidence. I'm sorry. Even if they want to say it's circumstantial, there's too many things, too many red flags. Okay, the things they're saying in these interviews that don't even make sense, things are not adding up, and they know it. But they're not arrested because everybody's in cahoots, in my opinion. Okay, all of these people, these local officials, politicians, law enforcement, judges, DAs, all of these people, the medical examiner, I think all of them are working together, like I said, in tandem, okay, to keep this thing under wrap. Now, that's just my assessment and my opinion. I can't prove it's true. Thank you for your insight, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. And you're absolutely right. Someone definitely should have been arrested. Okay, so you all heard what Tashema said. And it doesn't sound to me like she came in there kicking in doors. I'm sure she might have been a little upset because where is Nolan is what she wanted to know. And why do y'all have his phone? Okay, and here's the thing. I want you all to think about this. Because here's the thing of it all. Now, they claim that the phone was in Wyatt's truck, and it probably was. I believe it was at some point, because when they left the island, it was in his boat, supposedly. And so I think that when he, probably did put in his truck, but they had that phone Okay, they had that phone, and here's the thing. Now, just imagine, because Tashema said they were sitting in the house in the dark watching a movie. How are y'all so relaxed that everybody's just chilling, in the dark watching a movie while Nolan's mother is panicking? Okay, his mother is panicking. Her and her husband are panicking because now they know that Nolan is absolutely missing. But y'all are sitting there chilling out watching a movie in the dark, and the phone was probably laying right there. Okay, before Tashema came in, the phone was probably laying somewhere in the vicinity, and I'm pretty sure they heard that phone ringing when Tashema, not when Tashema, but when Christine was calling. Because Christine said she called Nolan a couple of times at least. And then she said when he didn't answer, she just thought, well, maybe he spent the night with whomever he spent the night with last time. Maybe he spent the night again. So just imagine the mother and father out here looking for their child, searching, okay, desperate for answers. Meanwhile, the people that he was with, they're at somebody's house chilling in the dark watching movies and having a good old time with Nolan's phone. But we're supposed to think they're sorry, they're upset, they're worried. Okay, them taking that wreath out there was nothing but performative. Them doing the little thing they did on Tatum's last interview, talking about, we loved him dearly. That was all just BS. And it was, because you all saw Jack sitting up there trying so desperately. I mean, we saw him crack a smile, and then he starts flipping his tongue around in his mouth, trying not to laugh. That's what he was doing. He was trying not to crack up laughing. Okay, please pay attention. So were they on the island when they made that call? I don't really think they were. Okay, I don't really think they were. Why did they go to Fort Bayou twice? Did Bart switch boats? Now I have even more questions, okay? Did Bart switch boats? Why did they go to Fort Bayou twice? Okay? Please make it all make sense. Queen Precious said, hold on, says, I thought he saw the phone ringing and called Buddy Javon to get Christine's number, and assuming her number doesn't pop up when calling it, but rather a name. Let me tell you something. I didn't recall him ever saying anything about the phone ringing. I'm just saying that I'm pretty sure they knew the phone was ringing. That's what I think. But as far as him saying that, yeah, he said he called, that's stupid too, because here's why. He said he called Javon to ask for Christine's number, but you had Nolan's phone. I literally just thought about that. You called Javon to ask for Miss Christine Wansley's phone, but you had her son's phone, as if her number is not in his phone. I literally just thought about that. What do y'all think of it? That makes no darn sense. See, another BS lie. That makes no sense. Why would he have had to call Javon to ask for Christine's number when he had Nolan's phone? And also, as I told you days ago, first of all, why would he call Miss Christine and ask her if she had talked to Nolan when he knew that he had Nolan's phone and that Nolan likely would not have talked to the mother before he talked to them? Because Nolan would have called them to get his phone back. That's what he would have done. He would have called them first to get his phone back if he was just left behind on the island as they wanted everybody to think. Okay, are y'all paying attention? Josh said Nolan's phone is, hold on. Said Nolan's phone. Truth Brown said, right, I know that number popped up. Of course it did. And what do children have their mom's name in under their phone? In their phone. It'll either say mom, Ma Dukes, or something like that, but it'll say that it's the mom. Okay, he already had her number. All he had to do was look at Nolan's phone. And he already, I'm sure, went through Nolan's phone. That's why there was nothing in it. Okay, please. All right? And matter of fact, why didn't he just call Miss Christine from Nolan's phone? He do that. Why didn't he just call her from Nolan's phone and say, hey, Miss Christine, this is Warren. We got Nolan's phone. We haven't talked to him because he stayed at the island. I'm sorry, what? None of this stuff is making sense. Y'all see how it's crazy? Y'all see how this is crazy? Doesn't make any sense. See how we be figuring stuff out in real time? Please pay attention. This is all crazy. The mother is someone who social media would have recommended. Probably face recognition. Well, here's the thing. It could have been facial recognition, or it could have been a fingerprint. Either way, if somebody has a person's body, and I'm not saying anybody did, I'm just saying if somebody had somebody's body and they wanted to get in their phone, yeah, they could easily do so if they just need the facial recognition of it or the thumb or the fingernail or the fingerprint. Okay, Superstar Rising said, how would they get in? I just told you how. If it was by if it had anything to do with facial recognition or a fingerprint, that's how they could have gotten in, if in fact they had his body. Okay. But if, hold on. But then again, who knows if they had his passcode or not? Who knows if they had his passcode or not? We don't know that they didn't have it. Okay, that's what I said yesterday after listening to Christine when she said she was calling Nolan's phone at 8 to 10:48 and he called her back at 11:07 p.m. Okay, thank you for that, Miss Pucci. Yeah, because that's like shortly after she called the phone the last time at 10:48. But what I find interesting, and thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution, beloved, I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But the thing I find interesting is the fact that he didn't even bother to let her know that he had the phone until she said that she was tracking the phone and that it was showing it was on dry land. Why wouldn't he volunteer that information? That's just crazy to me. That's how you know something's up. Okay, anybody who's completely innocent, didn't do anything wrong, I'm sorry, that would not be the move to make. Okay, and that's not something you would forget because somebody could say, well, it slipped his mind. No, it didn't. It didn't slip his mind. You know how you know it didn't slip his mind? Because when he called her to ask her if she talked to her son, he knew that Nolan didn't have his phone because he had Nolan's phone. They had it. So that wouldn't have slipped his mind to tell her that we have his phone. That should have been what he led with. We have Nolan's phone. But no, he didn't say that until she let him know that she's tracking that darn phone. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, what? Okay, I'm sorry, but they're looking guilty as charged. I mean, they're not charged in court, but in the court of public opinion, clearly. Okay. Robert says, bingo, it's because he's guilty. I mean, somebody is definitely guilty. Nia said, that's why I use a pen. I don't do face or finger recognition. And and Rupert says, yeah, okay. Now with that all been said, here's the thing. Like I said, they could have known his passcode. Who knows? Who knows? The phone was unlocked when they snatched it from Nolan on the island, says I'm technology. That could be the case too, because listen, they're not convincing me that when the person said they were arguing about that phone, give me my effing phone, I absolutely believe that was Nolan. Didn't Tracy say that was him? Tracy, if you're arguing about your girlfriend, about someone saying something about you and the way you're talking to your girlfriend, what the hell does that have to do with a phone? I absolutely think that was Nolan asking for his phone. And I think that Nolan may have recorded something that went on with that supposed beatdown that Carter allegedly got from those MMA fighters. Okay? I mean, that's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like. I mean, we don't know any of this stuff. It's all speculation at this point. But I'm going to tell you something. A whole lot of this stuff is adding up and a whole lot of it makes sense. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something else. A lot of the stuff that we're finding out makes a whole lot more sense than what they're saying. Think about it. The stuff that they're saying sounds crazy. Now, also, let me just bring this to you all's attention because somebody said, I forgot who it was, but somebody also just said that the DA's husband is an FBI agent, right? He's not an FBI agent. I'm gonna tell you what he is. Hold on. Because I said that this morning, because Secret Service Sam said that, and somebody else said it too. They said that he was an FBI agent, but he's not an FBI agent. Here's what he is. He might be cosplaying an FBI agent. Okay, please pay attention. I'm not even gonna say he's cosplaying, but yeah, I am gonna say that because that's what it kind of looks like to me. Okay, hold on. Because why would you have this on your Facebook page? I have several questions. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Now here's some updates for Nolan Wells' birthday and Carmelo's return to court. Let's get into it. So the good news for Carmelo is Judge Cockroach has been recused. Okay, so that's the first hurdle. Now we have to concern ourselves with him getting a new trial, and hopefully he will. Okay, and I was reading through those transcripts, and like I said yesterday, there was a whole bunch of shady things that went on, absolutely appalling things, and he was absolutely railroaded. Okay, and if you ask me, the people who were in charge need to be in jail. Okay, please pay attention. And it was absolutely a violation of his civil rights as far as I'm concerned. In the case of Nolan, I find it interesting that Warren released those text messages yesterday between he and Christine Wansley. And I guess he thought that he was exonerating himself or making himself look like he was the good guy and all of that. But funny thing is, I happen to notice that in the text messages, one that Christine sent to him on the 6th, when she was asking for him to gather up Nolan's things, his belongings or what have you, and so that she could get them returned to her, he didn't even respond back until the 20th. Okay, the day of Nolan's funeral. Please pay attention. Now, quite frankly, I'm sure that he had to have known that Mrs. Christine Wansley was not going to be looking at a text on the day of her son's funeral, that she was not going to be concerning herself with that, and that she likely wouldn't even have noticed it. And that's probably why he sent it on that day specifically, just so he would have a record later to say, yeah, you know, I reached out to her and this and that, and I wanted to go to the funeral, but did you really? Yeah, I don't think that he did. At the end of the day, I don't think that he was anywhere near as close to Nolan as he wants people to believe. And like I said, the things that we've heard him say and the things that we've seen he and the other frenemies do just verifies that as far as I'm concerned. Now, you were such a good friend, but you couldn't even gather up his things and take them back to his mother. You just ignored her. Okay, you just ignored her for 2 weeks. And then on the day of the funeral, you want to reach out talking about how you're sorry you can't come and you don't want to take away anything, you know, don't want to be a distraction, whatever. Please miss us with it. Also, it's been reported that the DA in the Nolan Wells case, okay, Angel Myers McElrath, is married to Scott McElrath, who people are saying is an FBI agent. But I did some digging and come to find out he's not an FBI agent, but he does have this posted on his Facebook page. Okay, I don't know what that's all about. He supposedly was at the academy and did some training or whatever with people, but he's not an FBI agent. So I just find it interesting that he has this posted on his Facebook page. I mean, is he cosplaying? Okay, I'm just asking questions. So he has the FBI logo on his Facebook page. That's why people thought mistakenly that he's an agent. But keep listening. Now, a report does say that he has 30 years in law enforcement, and that includes 10 years in the DA's office. Okay, please pay attention. A report also says that he announced his retirement from the DA's office in January of 2019. Now, the reason for the confusion is because in 2012, he graduated from the FBI's National Academy in Virginia. Okay, please pay attention. This is a prestigious and professional development program for law enforcement, both state and local, okay, for leaders to come and attend. But that does not mean that they're actually FBI agents. Okay, please pay attention. But the bottom line is there still is that tie to the FBI, okay, the links. And so if anyone's wondering why the FBI is down there in Ocean Springs investigating the threats to the other parties, but not really doing anything about what's going on with the Wansleys, okay, the threats being made to them, well, you know, I still have several questions. And also, why isn't the FBI, why haven't they taken charge of this investigation? Because they already know that people don't trust law enforcement down there in Mississippi. Okay, but you know, when you have all of these connections and ties and things like that, I guess pretty much things go the way you want. Please pay attention. Now, mind you, this is all speculation. Okay, that's all it is, honey. Speculation. Please pay attention.